I am a professor who has stood at the podiums of prestigious universities, and now, in my hands, I hold a Harvard degree, a symbol of academic excellence, the dream of millions of students worldwide. With over 3 centuries of history, Harvard is not merely a school, but a global brand, a gathering place for the brightest minds from every nation. Yet, on May 22nd, 2025, that dream seemed to dissolve into thin air when the administration of President Donald Trump decided to revoke Harvard's Student and Exchange Visitor Program, SEVP, certification, banning the university from admitting international students. This decision not only shakes Harvard to its core, but also sends a powerful message to the global higher education system. What led to this policy, and how will it impact Harvard international students and the reputation of the United States? What is SEVP certification? The Student and Exchange Visitor Program, SEVP, managed by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, is a system established after the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks to oversee universities authorized to admit international students on F1 or J1 visas. SEVP requires schools to provide information about international students through the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System, SEVIS, including academic status, disciplinary actions, and related activities. The goal is to ensure national security and prevent non-compliant educational institutions. Harvard's revocation of SEVP certification means the university can no longer admit new international students, and current international students must transfer to other institutions or face the risk of losing their legal status in the U.S. This is a severe blow to a university that heavily relies on international diversity to maintain its reputation and revenue. Reasons behind the Trump administration's ban on Harvard's international student admissions. On May 22nd, 2025, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, under the direction of Secretary Kristi Noem, announced the revocation of Harvard's SEVP certification, accusing the university of failing to comply with the requirements to provide information about international students. Specifically, on April 16th, 2025, Noem demanded that Harvard submit detailed data including academic records, videos, and information on protests or unlawful activities by international students over the past 5 years. DHS alleged that Harvard was delayed in responding and fostered violence, anti-Semitism, and coordination with the Chinese Communist Party. President Trump, in a Truth Social post on May 25th, 2025, emphasized that countries with students at Harvard pay no costs, and that some of these nations are not friendly to the U.S. He also demanded a list of names and nationalities of international students, calling it a reasonable request, given the billions of dollars in federal funding provided to Harvard. Furthermore, the Trump administration linked this decision to accusations that Harvard failed to control pro-Palestine protests, address anti-Semitism, and maintain diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) policies deemed racist. The administration also froze or canceled nearly $3 billion in federal funding for Harvard and threatened to revoke the university's tax-exempt status. Harvard, however, argued that DHS's demands exceeded legal authority and violated academic freedom. The university refused to provide certain information, particularly personal data not mandated by SEVP regulations, leading to a tense confrontation with the administration. history, and reputation of Harvard University. Founded in 1636 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, Harvard University is the oldest university in the United States and a global symbol of academic excellence, with an endowment of $53 billion as of 2024. Harvard has educated 8 U.S. presidents, over 160 Nobel laureates, and countless world leaders. The university is renowned for its pioneering research programs, world-class faculty, and diverse academic environment, attracting students from more than 150 countries. International students make up approximately 27% of Harvard's student body, 6,793 students in the 2024-2025 academic year, with the largest groups coming from China, India, and Canada. Their presence not only enriches the academic environment, but also significantly contributes to the local and national economy. Revenue from international students. International students are a vital revenue source for Harvard, particularly as they typically pay full tuition, averaging around $60,000 per year, including living expenses. With nearly 6,800 international students, Harvard generates hundreds of millions of dollars annually from this group. According to Association of International Educators, NAFCA, international students contribute over $40 billion to the U.S. economy each year, with Harvard being one of the primary beneficiaries. Losing the ability to enroll international students not only inflicts financial damage, but also threatens research programs, laboratories, and academic initiatives reliant on international talent. Kevin O'Leary, an investor and lecturer at Harvard Business School, warned that this policy could have serious consequences for Harvard's reputation and competitiveness. Number of affected students. The Trump administration's decision directly impacts 6,793 international students at Harvard, accounting for 27.2% of the total student body in the 2024-2025 academic year. Programs such as the Harvard Kennedy School, 49% international students, and Harvard Business School, 33% international students, are particularly heavily affected. These students, hailing from over 150 countries, include notable figures such as Princess Elizabeth of Belgium and Cleo Carney, daughters of Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, and now face the risk of having to transfer schools or being deported. Australian Ambassador to the United States, Kevin Rudd, expressed concern over the impact of the decision on students, stating that relevant authorities would support affected Australian citizens. In Canada, several universities, such as McGill and the University of Toronto, have announced their readiness to accept transfer applications from international students currently studying at Harvard. Harvard's response and legal developments. Harvard swiftly responded by filing a lawsuit against the Trump administration on May 23rd of 2025, alleging that the revocation of its SEVP certification was a blatant violation of the U.S. Constitution, including the First Amendment, academic freedom, and the Due Process Clause. The university argued that DHS failed to provide adequate notice, lacked specific evidence, and acted without following proper legal procedures. On May 24th, 2025, federal judge Allison D. Burroughs, appointed by former President Obama, issued a temporary restraining order halting the Trump administration's policy enforcement. This order ensures that current international students can continue their studies and that Harvard faces no immediate disruption. Harvard President Olin Garber stated, "We will fight to protect the rights of our international students and scholars, who are central to Harvard's mission and community. The university also affirmed that it attempted to comply with DHS requests with the scope of SEVP regulations, but refused to provide personal information not required by law. Prospects and long-term impacts. While the temporary restraining order offers hope, the legal battle between Harvard and the Trump administration is far from over. Forbes suggests that Harvard is likely to prevail in court due to the lack of clear legal grounds for DHS's demands and violations of administrative procedures. However, if the policy is enforced, Harvard risks losing its academic diversity, significant financial revenue, and global reputation. On an international level, this move has sparked strong reactions. The Chinese government warned that Trump's policy would damage America's image and credibility, while Hong Kong urged its universities to open their doors to attract talent from Harvard. Moreover, the Trump administration's threat to extend this policy to other institutions could diminish the appeal of U.S. higher education, driving international students to countries like Canada, the UK, or Australia. This not only affects Harvard, but also threatens America's leadership in global education. The Harvard degree, once a symbol of the ultimate academic dream, is now imperiled by a controversial Trump administration policy. The revocation of SEVP certification is not merely a dispute over student data, but a broader confrontation over academic freedom and the role of universities in a globalized world. While Harvard currently holds a temporary legal advantage, the future of nearly 7,000 international students and the university's reputation remains uncertain. Can Harvard safeguard its legacy, or will the dream of its prestigious degree truly dissolve into thin air? Only time and legal rulings will provide answers. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to Mr. Know-It-All. Goodbye, and see you next time.